Alive.
Are we on?
Well,
Are we on?
Let's not swear. That
Let's
is going to be
swear.
I am swearing. It's going to happen. It's just, pops out, doesn't it?
Are we okay with swearing, people? We've not got anybody on yet.
I'd be very concerned about anybody in a group. Yeah, I'd be very concerned about anyone in a group called Rebels and Rule Breakers that didn't occasionally go, fuck.
Yeah. Fuck, 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 fuck. Well, 2 people are here. Hello, Christy, and Facebook user who has no name. That's okay. Welcome to our first Rebel role model interview, and it's going to be a cracking start because, of course, we've got our master rebel Karen. So it would be churlish of us to start anywhere else, wouldn't it?
Churlish. Great word. Churlish. It would be, yes, it would be remiss.
Remiss of us.
Yeah.
Welcome, Karen Ripley, Master Rebel.
Welcome.
Hello, other Facebook users who also have no names from where I'm looking. Thank you for joining us, and those of you who will be watching this recorded, then feel free to chip in anyway and pretend that you're listening to it live. So let me it's Lisa Ravens. Hello, Lisa. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to just have a chit chat, and I want you to interact in the chat, in the comments while we do that, guys. If you've got any questions as we go along, chuck them in and we'll address them accordingly. So this is Rippers. And Rippers is a significant figure in my life. I might make you cry now, okay? Is that all right?
Right, okay.
Rippers and I have known each other for what, 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Is that about right, do you reckon?
Yes, right.
And we used to work together. Yeah, we used to work together. We worked together for a few years back in 2002, yeah. The Glass House. Some of you will have been there as well yourselves. And Karen has been a big influence in my life, and I love her to pieces. She's one of the best people on the planet. And she particularly, one of the things that I particularly love her for is that when I was an arsehole 20 years ago, she gave me some right good tough love that I really, really needed. She has to do less of that now, but she's still prepared to do it.
You know what? I'll never forget that day, because something that happened that day is something that I have never stopped doing. And that's if you find yourself in a position where you have to give some information to someone or give some feedback that they might not like straight away. I held your hand and I said, everything, so that you knew everything that I was saying to you was coming from a place of love. And that's worked for me many times.
That worked so
well. I've said that to people. I've said, and I've told them that story and said, I want you to know that I'm holding your hand while I'm talking to you, so you know where it's coming from.
Yeah, and that was one of the most memorable sort of bits of feedback I've ever had. And I also remember trying to give you feedback once, and I did it all corporate, and you were like, listen, love, what's all this nonsense? If I've pissed you off, just say I've pissed you off. Never mind, bloody feedback model, just tell me. And that really had an impact on me. All of those things had an impact on me. So much love, and, always have gratitude for having you in my life.
And
so,
you.
Tell us about yourself a bit. Give us a little intro. That was the scene.
So, yes, I'm Rippers. I think there's 2 people. There's Karen, that sometimes people shout Karen in the street, it won't turn round. But Rippers is, I've been that as long as I've been in the Big Glass House, really, and it's sort of stuck. And I have lived a charmed and lucky life. Everything's sort of just worked out well for me, and that's because I expect it to, sort of, and I've seen that so many times. And years ago, 2011, I was on a course. This is another story altogether, but I was on a residential course in a place called the Arthur Findlay College of Psychic and Spiritual Research. It was Hogwarts, basically. And while someone was giving a lecture, they said a quote that I've heard in various other ways, but not exactly the same. And it's, you don't live in this world as it is, you live in this world as you are. And anyone that knows me knows that I was.
Now, ironically, you actually cut out as you were saying that phrase, so you're going to have to say it to us again.
I will. You don't live in this world as it is. You live in this world as you are. And that is something that, as soon as I heard it, it was like a bolt. Something hit me, and I thought, that's important. And it was while I was there that I decided that I was going to go in for weight loss surgery. So people that know me will know that I was 27 stone. I was a good chick. I wasn't good up a ladder. So that change meant everything to me, not necessarily in the way that you think. So it takes about 2 years to get to the operation, and then I lost 13 stone in about 20 minutes. And I thought, right, I'm going to start walking to lose a bit more weight, and then realised that I'd lost the weight so I could walk. And since then, I've walked, I don't want to imagine how many miles I've walked, but those walks stopped being, the exercise was incidental, you know. It was time that I spent alone, music on, singing my head off, didn't care who saw me or heard me. And I was able to work out all my crap as I walked, and also had some fantastic adventures. I've had some, you know, weird ones. And it really did make me think that it's the way you are in this life and in this world that completely denotes it. So that means that I've got a choice. If I want to live in fear, if I want to worry about things, then the world's going to be scary and worth worrying about. Whereas if I take a much more positive approach, that is what I get, and it's what I get every time. And the way I describe it is glitter, which is weird because I hate glitter. Gets everywhere. Ramatska's bloody glitter. I see glitter everywhere, and it's usually a funny glitch. It's like a glitch in the Matrix, where I've seen, you know, a monk up a ladder wearing an orange high vis. We could already see you, dude. You're wearing an orange robe. But it's things like that I would see all the time. And I'd just randomly take a different route and see something amazing. Or I'll randomly take a chance and just go and speak to someone on the street because I like the shoes. And something will come from that. And I refer to this as glitter. And some people are made of pure glitter. You know, some people are just, they live these charmed lives, and I feel that I've had the opportunity to do that, and I've been able to choose that. It's not something that has been forced on me, or I always say that I'm lucky. It's not about luck. It's Tiger Woods said, the more I practice, the luckier I get, which I love that quote, you know. And the more I expect and accept funny things, because it's all about the funny things, the more I expect that to happen, the more it happens to me constantly. So I get to see the funny side. And when you see the funny side, things stop being scary. So for me, that is the ethos of living in the world as you are, that you absolutely get to choose that. So, you know, beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
We have a very similar philosophy, don't we? I was talking to a friend yesterday, in fact, about the fact that I honestly believe we are here for two key things. And one of those things is to contribute to the world. We're given gifts and talents that are there for us to contribute to the world in our own unique way, so that we can, you know, they are a vehicle to, you know, hit certain audiences, and we all have our own different audiences. And the other thing is to bloody well enjoy ourselves. And frankly, the more we enjoy ourselves, the more good stuff we put in the world, the more we contribute. And the more we contribute, the more we enjoy ourselves. So it just sits really beautifully. And I know you definitely live your life like that, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And I really genuinely believe that. And that's sort of something that I've always sort of has been in the back of my mind. But over especially the last 6 months, I'd say, it's become very clear to me that our sole purpose is to be happy. Because when that happens, if you focus on that, everything else unfolds. If everybody else was to take a few steps to make themselves a little bit happier or a little bit less worried, and just look at the glitter and just do the fun thing, it's amazing how that changes your life, because it's like a rolling stone, and more keeps coming and it keeps coming and it keeps coming, and before you know it, you're looking round and you shine, you know. And it's right there for the taking. It's right there for the taking. It costs no money, takes no effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you have recently done something. We've got some good comments, actually, by the way. We've got somebody, sorry, StreamYard doesn't show your names. Somebody saying you get what you throw back into the, you're supposed to say university, but it says university. And actually, I think that's better. Christy, for some reason, Christy's name is coming up. My aim in life is to laugh as much as possible. Absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you have done
myself on a regular basis.
Yeah. You have done something very recently that I actually coach people on, and that is how to escape the corporate sludge, the career cage, and to launch yourself into a free range life. Tell us more about that, Mrs.
So, the last sort of 6 months has been difficult. Is there anyone that can't say that, you know? But it's been the worst time of my life, but without a shadow of a doubt, the best as well. I had coronavirus going into lockdown, and then went from that to a really challenging contract where I was working sort of, 15 hours a day. Still wasn't well enough to do that, but was doing that. So that was really difficult. And at the same time, I was locked down with an abusive partner. Brilliant.
Yes, so that's fun, isn't it? What a concept.
Yeah. So not a great time, but the perfect time. So I changed that, and coming out of lockdown, I ended that relationship. I needed help, and it took some doing, and it wasn't fun and it wasn't easy, but it was, a good thing. As that was happening, I sort of wasn't very well, and was signed off work, and was sitting at home having a fag outside on a conference call, and was told with the rest of our department that we were being made redundant. And a real sense of calm came over me that I thought, brilliant. There was no way I was going to leave the capita that I worked for without being pushed. Plus, I've been there for 20 years, so I've accrued, a little redundancy. There was no way leaving without that. So that didn't work out as smoothly as we thought. There was ups and downs. You've got a redundancy package, you haven't. That's fun. So it came back into, but from the start, I knew I was going to leave. I was going to go. Even without the redundancy package, I was going to go, because it was now what I've been waiting for, which was, if you want me to do it, give me a push. So I got a push.
Cheers, Matt, by the way.
Cheers. It looks like there might be sort of orange in that or something, but me and Emma know it's not. And so you know, can't hold me water, can I?
So you, I remember the conversation we had when that happened to you, and you said you'd been made redundant, but they'd told you there was a redundancy package of significant value, and then they took it away with the other hand, and incidentally you ended up with it back again. But I remember being really angry for you and sort of stuff, they've done this to you, and your reaction was amazing. It was just, listen, it is what it is. It's meant to be the way it is. This is what I'm going to do about it. Life has dealt me with this for a reason, and it's going to be okay. And it was just a beautiful Ripper's reaction, and just to me told me how far you'd come so quickly after that deep sort of hole you'd been in when you were in that relationship. All that stuff was going on, you weren't well, and you'd come through it so quickly and healed yourself beautifully. And here was life dealing you with another bowling ball, and you were like, hey, it's okay, I'm going to dodge it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, because it really was, I had plans in my head. I thought I knew how breaking up this relationship was going to go. I thought this is going to be great. The day after he's gone, I'm going to be this, and it's going to be great. And I hit the floor like a ton of shit. And, then to get that news, I knew there was nothing I could do about it. In actual fact, there was, because there was a gap where we thought that redundancy package disappeared and I was going to walk away with like £3.20 or something before tax. And it was, I just asked for some help, and I got help. but I sort of just let that go on in the background, because me getting more and more upset and worrying about it was not going to change the outcome. And we've heard that a million times, and it's easier said than done. But on this occasion, somehow I just didn't worry about it. And I'm still somehow just not worrying about it. You know, I've only just set up the business. I don't know what that's going to look like. But I know it will. Because I trust it will. I know it will. I've got no idea in what capacity, but I know that it will. So that's fine. And I mean, the other thing that was going on, as you know, Emma, was a new relationship. I know that sounds weird, but working through a lot of things about myself through that situation also added to it. So I had so many things happening at the same time that I had no choice whatsoever but to kind of surrender to what was happening.
Yeah.
I had no choice really. And worrying about it, I didn't worry about the job, I worried about the relationship. But that worked fine too. You know, things just...
And you know, you surrendered that as well. You know, you really surrendered that. I know you did. Lisa's saying being made redundant is the best thing that happened to me this year. I released the corporate shackles. Absolutely, Lisa.
Brilliant.
And I can't wait to see what Lisa does, because she's going to be amazing. She's a brilliant rebel. Matt also is very much a rebel. He has a wonderful business where he takes care of doggies and walks them. That's right, isn't it, Matt? And he's saying odd how so many of us want to step away from corporate life but struggle to step away without being prodded. That was certainly my experience. I like to think of myself as a prodder, to push people over the edge. That's what I do, because I want people who don't belong in corporate life to be everything they are. You know, this is the year to do it. I know it feels like it's not the year to do it, but it bloody is. And you rippers are gonna, whatever your business becomes, it's going to be flipping amazing. We're going to do some good work together as well at some point, aren't
we? We absolutely are. Because I mean, it's like the other thing in lockdown. For years, I fancied having a skinhead, and I thought, if I don't do it now, it's not happening, is it? So I'd sort of mention it. So me and my neighbour that we were isolating with, drunk, shaved my head. Love it, because it's sort of, that is one of my, it's like, you can tell I'm a rebel.
Well, this is actually what I was going to ask you. Your style of rebellion, your status quo swerving is, you know, I would describe it as, I know it sounds cheesy, but I mean this in an absolute fierce sense, goddess warrior. You would describe yourself as a fighter, I think, wouldn't you? And that, you know, got some incredible tattoos and all of the rest of it. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think and this very much comes from when I was really big, because I spent, you know, it was my late 30s, early 40s that I had, was it? Yeah, it was about 40 when I had the weight loss surgery. So I'd spent all my life really big. And you've got to be able to push through that. Otherwise, people just see a fat chick and will dismiss you. So I've had to just push through that. And looking back, I wouldn't change it at all. Yeah, and I wouldn't change it, because it's been a privilege to be able to live one life in two bodies. And what that left me with was an opportunity to think, well, I can look how I want. I don't want to look the same as everyone else. And it's not that I think, oh, I'm special. So I want to be easy to pick out the crowd. And I've always felt that, and I don't know why. It's just done in a much more positive way now. So it's like, yeah, as you say, you know, I've got a lot of tattoos. I'm covered in tattoos. And someone did say, I had a conversation with somebody one time, funny enough, when I was doing ayahuasca, which some of you might know what that is, and some of you might want to Google that. And I said, you know, that I was, you know, I tend to, I'm a fighter. And he said, well, I can see that. And that really stuck with me. And I think it's sort of, it gives me permission to do what I want to do, because people sort of expect it. I mean, I think sometimes it might make me look a bit harsh, so I have to go around going, hello, and smiling to people, so they think I'm, you know, so they know I'm not sort of in the National Front or something. Because there's this that I've had for 12 now, because, you know, I've got a thing. I absolutely love it. It looks like a spot, but it's not. It's a thing. I refer to it as my third eye. Yeah, and it's like when you do my skincare, I go round it because I worry about what happens if it disappears. I check every morning to make sure it's not gone, which isn't what you usually do with spots.
We've had this conversation, haven't we, that it's in there already, you know, whether you see it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just
absolutely.
needing to see it right now.
And I think
so go on.
I was going to say about surrender is, I've mentioned a few times about surrendering, and that is not something that comes naturally to me at all.
No.
I will fight and I will fight, and sometimes I'll fight until I've got no choice, and that's fine too, because that's me. So often through the fighting that I've done early on, I will go through those struggles and I'll feel that pain, but when I come out of it, I'll be glad that I did, because I've learned so much from those initial sort of fights, if you like.
Wrangle.
But surrender is still my biggest challenge, that I find it difficult to just let go of everything. But again, over the last 6 months, it's happened so many times that when I have, it's worked perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Better than I thought it was ever going to. That's happened to me so much, as you know, recently. It's worked out so much better than I thought it was going to when I finally did surrender. But I'm kind of surrendered to the fact that I struggle to surrender.
Yeah. It's surrender and letting go is a bloody difficult thing for anybody, but I think particularly you with, you know, the fighting spirit, it's something I'm definitely trying to practice, and it's you know, do a whole topic on that, couldn't we, for sure? So you know, you very much talk in positive terms about your life and what, you know, the things that have happened to you, and you describe your life as being blessed, and I certainly, you know, think with the attitude you've got, it's not been an easy life either, has it? You know, some people would have seen what you've encountered in your life as a reason to be a victim, but you've decided to you know, that's a rebellion in itself. You've decided to see all of that as blessings. So that's, you know, that's great. But what do you think is the flip side? What are some of the challenges you've perhaps encountered from being different from other people?
So I knew this question was coming up, so I had a really good think about this, and I struggled to write anything down, because I found from being a rebel, which I always have been, you know, and it's got me in the shit in the past. It really has. You know, early on in my career, I spent a lot of time in small rooms with union reps being asked why they thought it was a good idea that I'd done whatever.
We're there in the glass house, weren't we?
Yeah, but bottom line, I've got some great stories out of it, you know, and I've never gone my own way and done my own thing and regretted it. Even if it's gone badly, I've never regretted it, because I know if you're true to yourself, it's a big one, isn't it? It's like a hallmark, or it's a Facebook status or something. If you're true to yourself, you're not going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Because even if
it's true,
even if you don't get the outcome that you wanted, you know you did the right thing for the right reason, even if it might have fucked up a bit, you know. So it's being a rebel. There hasn't been a challenge for me. I think sometimes there might have been people that didn't like me, but that's fine. And I've not even seen that, you know. It's not something that's worn me down, or I've never felt that it's stopped me doing anything. If anything else, it's given me the opportunity to say yes. And it also gave me the opportunity that people saw me as that, so they were fine with me doing something that they might not have done. You know, so whether it's been doing something daft to make a fool of myself, or going somewhere and doing something that might have been a bit dodgy or whatever, because I do like a bit of dodginess, as you know. It's sort of people that know me know that I'm like that, so completely support me in doing it. So being honest about the fact that I'm going to do what I want means that other people accept that. It gives them permission. It gives them permission to do the same.
It does. You're setting a really good example. So you talked about it sort of gives you permission to say yes, or other people permission to say yes.
Yeah.
What about saying no? That's a topic we want to explore more, isn't it?
Yes, we're going to be talking about that a lot more, because something we really struggle to say no in so many ways, because we think if we say no to people, then they're going to be upset, or they're going to dislike us, or it's going to damage us in some way. And it really doesn't. It really doesn't. Saying yes and then not fulfilling what you said you were going to do is very different. Because so often people say, yeah, I'll come, I'll see you there, and then think, I've got no intentions of coming, I'll think of something beforehand. It's not the way to go. So saying no to somebody can support them as much as saying yes. if you do it in the right way. And it's about doing it in the right way. And we'll talk about that again in the future because it is important.
It is. We're going to do a masterclass on the art of saying no, which is just something beautiful that Karen's wonderful mum taught her when she was on this plane. So yeah, it is important, and I think part of for me, part of rebelling is about being honest and saying, "That's not for me, thanks," or "I'm just not going to be there," or rebelling for no reason. Thanks.
Yeah, rebelling for no reason. Sometimes you're just being arsey. So long as you're rebelling for the right reason, so long as you're doing something different, thinking the reason I'm doing it is this, even if it's only because I feel like doing it, or I want to see what's down there, or opening a box to see what's in there. Not doing it because I was never one. When I was younger, if my mum said you can't go there, I wasn't someone that thought then I'm going to. That isn't something that I generally found, and it isn't now. I don't sort of say no or rebel just for the fun of it. It has to be for whatever reason, and that's often a gut instinct. Absolutely a gut instinct.
Yeah.
And as many of us will have heard of Simon Sinek, with a piece of work that we were doing not long ago, as often you see little clips of him popping up. So I thought, right, okay, I'm sick of just seeing clips. I'm going to read his stuff, and worked on the whole Start With Why.
Yeah.
And I spent quite a bit of time. I put quite a bit of time into working out what my why statement was. And once I did, it sort of gave me a blueprint. And it's something that really made a difference to me. And what should we start to say it now? Forget it. My why statement is. Yeah, I've written it down, but I don't want to look at it because I don't even know what it is. Because I love being surrounded by happy people, I inspire positive change through support and humour. And
brilliant.
Humour is such an important thing to me because I thought, what is really important to me? And it really came down to, because that's not a work thing or a home thing, it's a me thing. It's the happy people. Being surrounded by happy people means that you can have a good crack, things get done, everyone enjoys it, brilliant. Whatever happy looks like for you. And so when I look at that statement, everything I do, I can put to that statement and say, does it support that statement? Because if it's not, it's probably just bullshit. So if I'm going to say, hey, I'm being asked to do this, but I'm not going to do it, it needs to be attached to that statement. Otherwise, I'm just sort of, being a bit funny with someone. So knowing really who you are and why you are that, or why you are what you are, is massively liberating.
It is. And that, I think this is rebellion in itself. So my version of that is highest values. I have 3 highest values. They are contribution, growth, and joy. And actually I want to put integrity into that, but I'll talk about that another day, what integrity means to me. But to me, if what I'm doing doesn't align to those highest values, then it's not worth me spending time doing it. So I'm trying to do as little as possible in my life that doesn't align to those values. And, this connects to it very much. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to talk about what is a rebel, what is a rule breaker in this, family we've created. And you touched on it before. What it isn't is being an arsehole. What it isn't is being controversial just to be different, just to argue with people, just create a different opinion. I'm all for seeing things from a different perspective and kind of, testing people's thinking and all of that and reframing. I get it, and seeing different views. But it's not about, I'm going to rage against the machine just because I feel the need to challenge. It's just simply being who you are and not giving a shit what society says you should or shouldn't be doing. As long as you're not harming people, if you are being who you are, then amazing. We've got a good question. Go on.
Also, I think sometimes it's you do give a shit and you are worried about what's going to happen, but you do it because you think it's the right thing to do. It's not just about the system; it's about doing what you really feel is right for the right reason. And that might just be because I prefer to do it that way. But often you know, there's still times that I'll think, right, everyone's zigging and I'm going to zag. It can still be scary, and I do sort of care what people think, because I don't want them to think I'm just doing it for the fun. So, but I'm quite happy to explain my reasons and them to disagree.
Yes, that's the difference, isn't it? Yeah.
Or being nervous about it, I should say. There's nothing wrong with that, because it can make you sort of question, is this right? Is this what I want to do? But it's about accepting other people's opinions and doing what you know is right.
Yeah. Lisa's asking, going back to the sort of saying no thing, do you think that confidence comes with age? I'm happy to say no now, but 5 years ago it would never have happened.
For sure. But that doesn't mean that older people can say no either. I know younger people are the same, but yeah, it does. And I think it's your experience of saying no. So often people worry about how they may appear. And I often think, okay, turn the tables. And if you saw a friend of yours doing what you're about to do, how would you feel about it? And a weird example is, I've always been fine. I know you're the same, Emma. I've always been fine going to the cinema on my own, going out for a meal on my own, doing that sort of thing. I'm absolutely fine. A lot of people won't do that, especially women won't do that because they don't want to go out on their own. And I remember a friend of mine saying that she wouldn't sort of go to the gym on her own. She wouldn't go on her own. You think, what do you think when other people see you there alone? What do you think they think of you? And she was like, oh, I don't know. And you're like, so what is it that's stopping you? Because it's often what we think other people will perceive us as.
This is spot on.
Yeah, because when I see someone, if I go for something to eat and I see somebody sitting on their own eating, I think, oh, they're probably here on business and they don't want to eat in the hotel. Some people think, what if they think I've been stood up? And you're like, wow, just what people are thinking. Because I've said, when you've seen somebody on their own, let's say you go to a hotel, someone's eating breakfast on their own, do you think they've been stood up? And they're like, well, no, obviously they're there on the business. And you're like, well, there you go then. You don't need to worry about what people think.
No, you don't. And this is perfect. The guys in the group who are members of the Elite Mentorship Forum. So Peter Sage, look up Peter Sage, guys, because he's an amazing role model in the world. One of Tony Robbins' ex-trainers. There are a few people. We are on this one of his mentorship programs, EMF9. So there's a couple of people in the group that are on that as well. Hello, guys. They will resonate with this massively, because Peter talks about something called GOOP, which stands for good opinion of other people. And what he essentially talks about is exactly what you've just been saying, that if you spend your life covered in goop and you worry about what other people think of you, then you're crazy, because they don't care about you. They're too busy worrying about what other people think of them. And it just holds you back so badly. It really doesn't matter.
Really
the older you get, the less you care about that goop,
Yeah. And I think this is one of the reasons that being the size that I was, it's funny because I've mentioned it a few times on the call, but it's something that I don't even think about anymore. Because it was that size and I knew people obviously would look at me, that's given me a sort of resilience that I don't necessarily need to worry about what people think of me, because, I mean, there's the whole thing of what people think of you is none of your business. And that's true. I think people that are close to you, you'll have an idea of what they think of you, often, not always. But when I think, what would other people think if I did this? I often turn it around and think, well, what would I think if somebody else did it? And I'd be like, yeah, go for it, brilliant. So often things that we might be nervous of doing, when we turn it round, we think, well, I'd be really supportive if I saw someone doing that. So why not do it yourself? It's other people's opinions aren't going to get you anywhere near as far as your own.
No,
feedback.
That's so true.
You have to take what you need and let the rest go, because there are people that are living different lives with different resources, different filters, different experiences. There's only you that knows, your journey. So you have to do what you're doing,
Absolutely. Christy's saying it's always meaningful when you're with happy humans. So going back to that sort of having fun and stuff. Someone, tell us who it is, guys, because I can't see your name. Do you think people are quicker to see people as rebels purely because they question or challenge something?
Yeah, sometimes I think it's people that really want to be able to do something and want to feel brave themselves but can't. So I would say that's something that I've encountered quite a few times, that people might, think I'm being naughty or something, which is bollocks, because it really is, it's just doing something slightly different. But there are often people that maybe would love to do that, but haven't got the confidence. So as your ego does, rather than saying be brave and try it, they'll say, God, no, that's a bad thing to do. So I think people will often feel challenged, and it's always a good thing when you look at someone and see what they're doing and think that's a really bad thing to do. Also to think, why do I think that? Because that's their journey. So why do I think that? Can you hear my cat?
Hey, dude.
Don't start. Dude, we've talked about this. So I've got a 20-year-old cat, and because he's deaf, he meows really loudly, and they're not meows, they're meouts. And so if he starts going now, there is nothing I can do about it. I can't reason with an animal that can't speak English or hear me. So if he gets going, we're just going to have to work through it.
I love it. He's contributed. That question came from our lovely Yaz, by the way. That one, really good one. Matt's also saying doing the right thing. This is Matt. Is such a strange phrase. In my experience, the right thing is as prescribed as everything else. Doing the right thing for you is the only definition that matters, not in an uncaring or selfish manner, but in a resolute, self-focused way. I agree. And starting with you is the way.
There's only one right thing. There's loads of right things. What's right for me isn't right for the next person, vice versa. And that is often something that we struggle with, even down to what you eat or who is the president of America. How can we expect one person to do the right thing for everybody? So we're all on a sword at some point, and we all have to think what is right for me is not right for you. It's what's right now for me, because what's right today might not be right tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely right. I just have to say as well, at this point, you and I are rebelling just even in this moment, aren't we? Because normally Rippers often says that we have perfected the art of having more than one conversation at the same time. So this is quite a struggle for us, isn't it? Being patient with each other and letting each other speak.
It is. We found years ago that we can actually really reduce the amount of time by we both just talk at the same time. But somehow we're able to, it's going like the cat flap now. Sometimes we can just really look at each other, both speak at the same time. We take it all in, and then we have a recap and go, wow, so that's that. It's great, isn't it?
See you next time. Yeah. It is good the way we do that. Let's see, what else have we got to talk about? So who do you look up to, Kaz, as a rebel in your life, or that's, someone famous? Pardon it. I'm deaf. That's Matt talking about.
It's now in a shout. He's run outside and he's come back in, and now he's staring at the bread bin. It's done something to him. Don't start. We had the conversation at the start about the about the free range human, and I think what you've done has been amazing. And we've talked many times about the fact that is something that I would love to do, but it wasn't the right time. And now it is, and we're able to do things together. And, I really appreciate you and what you've done and the bravery that you've had. So obviously, I look up to you. I look up to a lot of people that I worked with. I look up to so many people in my life. But a celebrity that I'll mention, and this can be controversial. I've got a bit of a love for Russell Brand. Because he's had some trials. And he's a Marmite person, isn't he? But when you think he started off as a presenter on Big Brother, it was Big Brother's little brother or something. Some crazy guy. And look at where he is now. I really like his stuff, and he's He's a very open and honest person, and he often, it's because of the trials that he's had, it's because of the shit that he's had, that he's able to talk about that. And some of the things that you think, wow, he is bold for actually admitting to what he's just admitted to. So whereas, you know, Russell Brand is someone, and he's fit, you know, he's fit, but I really like the way he's taken everything that's happened to him. He's learned.
Jill agrees with you, by the way.
Of course you would.
I mean, she's not said about the fit thing. We can just make an assumption about that, but she was going to suggest Russell Brand.
Yeah. And I just really appreciate, plus, he can do it with such humour, and it gets people's attention. Let's be honest, there's a lot of comedians that are able to really get people's attention because of the humour that they use. And rather than using fear or oppression or, you know, whatever tools people use these days to get attention and get people to follow them, humour has got to be the right one. I was having a conversation with Paul the other day, and he was saying about how close the words humour and human are, and I'm like, wow, never.
Nice. No. Yeah, Paul Harris, I'm assuming.
Of course it is. But yeah, it's absolutely true, you know, that funny enough, it was only when primates actually started to laugh that evolution really went forward, you know.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
No, that's actually true, and that's Terence McKenna talks about that, you know, to do with psilocybin and so on, and evolution, and humour is something that it gets us through, it heals us, it gets people's attention in the right way, and that is why using support and humour is one of the main things in my why statement, because that is who I am. And I think I can't get through a day without laughing, and I
even on the dark days.
Yeah, I do my undercrackers often laughing. And that's like a badge of honour. You think, if I've got to the point where I can pee myself, I mean, it's easy, I'm 49, but if I get to the point where I'm laughing that hard, then I'm doing something right. And I've always approached work like that, not the pee myself thing. I've mentioned that too many times now. But as you do, you spend a lot of time on the phone, don't you? And you're having conversations and you're a cog in a wheel so often. The way I've always approached it is, my immediate approach is to make friends with somebody. And I incidentally work with them. Because when you go in like that, how many times, you know, have you gone onto project calls or, you know, group calls that are really tense? When you go in and you have a bit of a laugh, you get to know people, it just makes work easy. When you've got that humour with people, people sort of relax, that they know they can be themselves, and people will open up a lot more. People will feel safe and able to open up, and they won't be scared of saying no. They won't be scared of saying, no, I haven't done it. I always used to love, I used to love conference calls. I thought they were so much fun. I didn't really care what the subject was. I just used to really enjoy the process of observing conference calls. Because something that I've learned, people saying, I'm sorry, I didn't hear them. It's a really bad line. The amount of times I've gone, I'm sorry, I completely zoned out there. I wasn't listening to you. Tell me again. When you show that honesty, anything that you say next, people know is authentic. So turning up late, going, God, I'm really sorry, I had to go and get a coffee. And
we used to remember this spit thing. Like, I've done that. So do you remember we used to point out our spits? Like, you know, when you spit on someone when you're talking, you just point it out.
Do it.
That was a thing often, wasn't it? Spit. You start.
I used to think of people that announcing your spits was a development tool, and it is. Because we've all done it. You talk to someone and you see that little bit of spit go, oh, and it lands. If you're lucky, it lands on them. If you're really lucky, it lands near the face on the realobe or something. And the best way to go is I just spat on you and then carry on talking. Because the joy that's come from those conversations, and it is a development. Enough to go, I just spat on you, mate. I know. Or when you can't it makes people feel bad. You have to give them the opportunity. But having that humour, it's just an open door for people to actually be themselves and relax. Yeah. This corporate bullshit, you just don't need it. That's one of the things as well I really loved. Some of you on the call, Yaz, you're going to be right here with me. We used to work with a lady called Christine Byrne, and she was an absolute joy. She was around a good 10 years ago, and she was an amazing person, and I really saw her as a mentor. And I spent some time with her on calls and so on, and she used to call people out on business speak. She used to stop them and say, right, listen, you don't need to do it, just speak normally, so that you're guaranteed that everybody can understand. Because when you use the whole corporate jargon, there will be a certain amount of people that don't understand, but they're scared to say, or they feel stupid saying. Don't alienate people, just talk normally, and everyone will understand. No, I like it, leave it. Oh shit, do it again.
Okay. Oh, it's not as good.
So hot. But that's why 90% of my business calls started with hiya, love. Because
that's how it should be. I agree. I need to just throw in something good from Matt here, who's saying, I was considered difficult everywhere because I question the status quo. I definitely remember that about you, Matt. If you looked at my record, criminal, I don't know, I was no more difficult than anyone else. I just asked what others would not. We need to definitely get you on one of these, Matt, I think. But Steve is saying, my good friend Mr. Witten is saying, how would Rippers feel about coming on my Men Able podcast to talk about humour? Are you familiar with Men Able, Rippers?
No, but I'm familiar with men.
So Stephen has started what is best described as a movement. It's going to be, I'm just leaving my hair like a bird's nest, what will be becoming a social enterprise that is helping to disrupt the culture of men's mental health within the automotive industry, which they sorely need. And Steve is absolutely a rebel. I think you'd be really cool to interview on that. Chris is one of those strong people who people would like to misconstrue. Yaz is saying about, is this Christine Byrne, is it?
Byrne, yeah, Lady Byrne. Yeah, she was amazing. I'm still in touch with her now, and she's it was, because fully enough, the reason that I spent time with Chris was part of a PIP. It was part of a personal improvement plan when, I don't know, I'd got in the shit for something, but it wasn't about my work. It was about how people saw me, because, back in the day I did mess around somewhat. So I spent a bit of time with Chris to see how she can, and I asked for that to see how she conducted herself, because she didn't wear power suits and she did not conform to what people would think someone of her level and of her age would be. But she was her presence was unbelievable. And that is something that I really learned from Chris, is why speaking a language that is going to alienate some people when you can just speak normally and include everybody. And I've never forgotten that. The amount of times I've said that, the amount of times on calls I've said, you don't need, all right, so what is that in plain language? And I found when I was not just when I was writing training material or quotes or, scoping documents, just write so that people understand.
Yeah. I'm
clear communication is a rebellious act.
It is. And we were lucky enough, weren't we, to sort of be taught a lot about that at O2 as well, talking to people normally. Having that tone of voice.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I've got another thing about a main rebellious act, which is self-love. Communicating clearly is a rebellious act. Self-love, we hear about this all the time, and sometimes you get a bit sick of the term. But something has happened over the last couple of weeks that I've started to do that is so powerful and works really well for me. It's quite funny as well. So myself and my new partner, we often think, right, what do we need to do now for future us? And we've got so we've got these almost comic characters that we have, which is future us and past us. And so we think about what past us have done for us and what we do for future us. That was a bit of a tongue twister, but it's just things like, right, we're going to go out. What do we need to do for future us to make life easier? We're like, let's have a quick tidy up, and we'll get stuff out of the freezer for later, and then we'll go out and come back in, and they'll go, future Rippers never lets us down. And I actually think about, what can I do now that I'll be grateful of in the afternoon? And
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah. And it's just little things that we've almost started to see them as separate people, which is daft. But originally, where it came from is Mark used to say, oh, that's past Mark let me down again, when he hadn't done something. And we sort of turned that round, that when I think about past Ripley, I think, oh, I'm glad she did that, or I can understand why she did that. And I send love to future Ripley and think, I'm going to do that for her and send her love. And I think it's a way that not only am I getting more shit done in the house, and doing nice things, but I'm seeing my past and future self positively and with love, rather than thinking, there I go again, let myself down, I'll never be able to do that. That is something that has really changed. And because we've seen these comedy characters as, well, past us were a bit drunk, we can't expect them to have done it, but we'll do that for future us because we know they'll be grateful. And that's
a good way of seeing it.
Yeah, it's just a thing that sort of started happening as a joke, but it's actually had quite a big impact. And it's rather than thinking, how am I going to love myself, almost see yourself as a separate person. Think, how am I going to love future you? What can I do? Yeah. And whether that's, I'm going to do something small now, so I can have a coffee later, or a big thing for yourself in 10 years.
I really love that.
I'm going
to nick that. Yeah, as you're saying, she finds herself coming out with BS phrases because she hears them so much. Nice honesty, Yaz.
Yeah. Really. Break the norm, Yaz. Stop doing it. Say no.
But we all doing it. Point it out. So, when you come out with some blue sky thinking of some shit, just say, just say, oh, bullshit phrase. Just call it out for yourself.
Or just stop doing it. It's surprising other people might stop doing it around you as well.
Yeah, but you do catch yourself, and I think that that's the self-love thing again, isn't it? Sometimes you catch yourself doing stupid stuff, things that don't make sense, or you find yourself complying in a needless way, and it's okay to make those mistakes, and sometimes it's about the kind of self-reflection to say, okay, well, I'll maybe do that differently next time, and that's okay. Then I want to punch myself in the face.
What would future you think?
Oh, did my camera go off there?
Yeah.
That was weird. How
you
strange.
Were frozen in the face. You're back now.
Yeah. So that's a really good tip, the self-love thing. But do it's the past and the present and the future you. Really like that. Have you got any other tips for budding status quo swervers? Huh?
Or give them a name. What? Because I often get mixed up between past and future me, past and future you. So quite often I'll refer to that Karen did something for us, so we don't get mixed up. Karen did this, but Ripley will do that. It's a weird thing.
Okay.
Advice for budding rebels. I think it's to go back to why are you rebelling just for the crack of it? And you know what? If you are, own it. But what is the benefit of doing something different? But don't be frightened to do something different. A perfect example of what Yaz just said, we have a tendency to use corporate language. The amount of times I'll be on calls and I think, I didn't understand the last 5 minutes of what people said. And I'm not the only one. And we both know from being in learning development for so long, you say, do you understand for 10 people? They'll all say yes. And we know that 5 of them probably don't, because you can tell by the body language. Yeah. And they're like, mm-hmm. And I've always had the permission that when somebody explains something, they said, does everyone understand? I'll go, no. Because let's say if you're writing training material, it's my responsibility to say no on behalf of the people that I'm going to train. I need to make sure I understand because I'm representing them. I need to ask that, and I need to say no to them. So I'm always proud to go, hang on, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Jill's
and quite often, something that worked for me, sometimes someone would be talking about something that's quite technical, let's say, and they'll explain something, and I'll say, right, okay, I don't understand. Is there anybody after the call that's willing to spend 5 minutes with me to explain it? And you'll always get someone go, yeah, I'll do it. You're not holding up the call. It means that you're going to get a good explanation, probably one-to-one. And the other thing is it will build authenticity. When you go, no, I'm the person who doesn't understand, but I want to understand. You've got a bit of credence in what you say, because people think you've actually been brave enough. I was always so proud of the people that said, no, I don't understand. When you've got 50 people that say yes, the person that says no is the one I want on my team, because they're the one with the balls. And they're the ones that are willing, because then you'll get loads of people going, oh, I didn't either. And you're like, well, you should have shouted up then. So it's the person that says, no, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't want to do that. They're the ones that I think, I want to listen to what you've got to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Someone said call to action as an example of a bullshit phrase. Call to action. Jill's saying, love it, Rippers. What is the one thing you can do right now to make everything else that needs doing either unnecessary or easier? That's a really good way of looking at it, Jill. Really like that. Really good. Definitely. Okay.
Definitely.
We could go on for hours. We've nearly done an hour. We could. This is absolutely brilliant. Any sort of books or films that you'd recommend, or other resources you think for sort of our rebels or budding rebels?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a fan. So a lot of people will have heard of Neil Gaiman, author.
Yeah.
Not as many people have heard of his wife, which is Amanda Palmer, or often known as Amanda fucking Palmer. And she is a musician and an artist, and she wrote a book called The Art of Asking. And it's a great book. It's fun, it's really interesting, and it completely gives a different, because we were talking before about the art of saying no. This is the art of asking. And she talks about how asking for help has changed her life. It's not a big book, and it's one of those that, I think people would enjoy. I can't be asked turning pages quite often, so I listen to everything on Audible, and she reads it. So anyone that's on Audible, try the audio book. And some of her music is in there as well, and her music is really funny. So Amanda Palmer is someone that's worth looking up anyway. But when I thought about a book, that's the one that immediately came to mind, is The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer. And she's just everything. She's pure glitter, and she's a real force for good in the world. And she's just have a look at her on YouTube, and she's got funny eyebrows on purpose. Like
that's always worth checking out. Funny eyebrows in a world of weird eyebrow fetishness. Christine's saying, "Oh my god, I need that book."
Do get it. It is a fantastic book.
Absolutely, sounds good. Good stuff, Mrs. I'm looking forward to.
This is so much easier than I thought it was going to be.
I know, isn't it fun? This is so much fun, and a great example for people who want to kind of get on here. It's chilled out. We're having fun. It's not an interrogation. We're just going to go with the flow and see what happens, and talk like actual human beings to each other. So those of you who've been inspired and want to do one of these with me, then shout up. If you haven't done already, I've got a long good list of you. It's going to take me about 3 years to get through, which is absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to the masterclass when we get around to doing that on the art of saying no. So look out for that, guys. I just want to say a massive thank you, Mrs., because this has been a pure freaking joy.
It's been nice. Yes. Really I actually got to, I was going to do it at my 90. Anyone who wants to get in contact, just send me a message on here, and we can have a chat. So I think it was Steve talked about podcasts. Give me a shout. Talk about that. But if anybody wants to, I'm happy to receive dick pics, all that sort of thing. Just send them through. Never have enough.
And your business is called Lemon Yellow, yeah?
It is lemon
And
yellow.
we don't know what that's going to be yet, do we? Which is just kind of beautiful in
Well, we know
itself.
it's
I love
around,
that.
yeah, we know.
I mean,
And that's
the
why
world
it's
where everyone's got a bloody
kind of,
strategy.
yeah.
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 Everyone's
It's
got
going to be
a
around
strategy and a
people.
business plan.
Yeah.
And we're doing
People,
that thing again.
So, yeah, well, we're all right with it. So, yeah, it's going to be around coaching and sort of learning development and so on. So, I thought if I give it it's lemon because I put lemon in all food because then it all tastes like sunshine, and yellow because that's what I am as a person.
Amazing. You are a beautiful ray of sunshine. Jill's saying, can we post the name of the book and author? We'll do that in the comments.
Yeah.
And somebody, Yaz is saying, thank you, ladies, great job. Thank you very much, Yaz, for all of your contributions. It's been really, really fun. Thank you, guys. Thank you for giving us some of your Sunday morning. Have a bloody brilliant day. Thank you so much, Rippers. I love you loads.
Yeah, no problem.
This is brilliant. We'll have a debrief after this. I'll call you.
Yeah, call me. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.